For nearly a century and a half, families in 90-plus Vermont towns have benefited from a remarkable school choice program known as town tuitioning. This program was born out of Vermont's small rural heritage. School districts that were too small to warrant building and maintaining a school were, and still are, allowed to send their children to any public or approved independent school of their choice, with the publicly funded tuition following the child. These school choice communities have nurtured many of Vermont's most celebrated education institutions: Burr and Burton, the St. Johnsbury Academy, the Linden Institute, and the Thetford Academy, as well as a host of new, smaller schools that have been entering the marketplace and thriving. On February 27th, the House Education Committee held a public hearing in Rutland, Vermont, as they considered legislation that could cripple or even eliminate Vermont's school choice system where it exists, and to stop school choice from spreading to new communities that want it. They got an earful from parents and educators.
Thank you. My name is Mark Tashton. I'm the headmaster at Burr and Burton Academy, and I'll add that I'm a lifelong Democrat, for whatever that's worth. A proud lifelong Democrat. I think we agree on a lot of things. We, not just me and you, but I mean everybody in this room, we all want innovative schools, I think. I believe we all want motivated, caring teachers and caring and motivated students and families. I think we all want schools that serve families and students and are accountable to families and students. And I believe we all want a system that is fair and equitable. And we want equity, and I would argue that in the United States of America, equity means freedom of choice. It means having options. We choose which cars we want, we choose which communities we want to live in, we choose which houses we can afford. Equity means giving the same advantage to as many people as possible that exists for every wealthy person in this country, because the wealthy have always had options, and they always will.
I live in Chittenden, Vermont. Chittenden is one of the 90 towns that tuition their kids to high schools that families can choose. I strongly support school choice and ask that the legislature keep it alive. Please make sure that school choice survives any school consolidation bill that passes the legislature. And here's why I care about this issue. My wife Nancy and I have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter Eiley has gone to the Long Trail School in Dorset since 8th grade. She's a senior now, and for the last 5 years she's gotten up at 5 in the morning to take the hour-and-a-half trip each way to school. She gets home around 6:30 at night and usually stays up late doing her homework. So why would any kid in their right mind inflict that kind of pain on themselves? The reason is the Long Trail School is a great school. The teachers and kids are motivated, the classes are small, the academics are rigorous, and the community is drug-free, safe, and respectful. Who wouldn't want to go there? There are great music, art, and drama programs, and 100% of most graduating classes go to a 4-year college. Long Trail has a great college advisor who knows each kid well, suggests schools they can get into, and so far, Eiley's been accepted at all of the schools he's recommended, and about half have offered her merit scholarships. I can't tell you how happy my wife and I are that I had the school choice to send Eiley to Long Trail. It was a perfect fit for her, and if we didn't have the town tuition, we wouldn't have been able to send her there. Now, my younger daughter might not go to Long Trail. She's a good student too, but she's also a very good athlete and has a shot at playing Division I sports. Rutland High has a great honors program and a strong sports program that may fit Issa just fine. The point is that parents and kids should have the right to choose the high school that is best for them. One size does not fit all. So please, put politics aside and don't legislate independent schools out of existence. School choice is good for kids. Thank you.
We all wear shoes. And we all know that if we were to wear shoes that didn't fit, fit, we wouldn't want to walk in them. And if we did walk in them, our back would hurt, our legs would not grow as they should, and we wouldn't walk the way that we should be able to walk. Schools are like shoes. I have a 5th grader at the Maple Street School, and I have a 6th grader at the Long Trail School. They both require different shoes to be able to learn. They started out in the same school, and it didn't work for both of them. But we were able, because of what this state offers, to find different shoes for one of our 2 kids who needed it.
I would like to say that I do support school choice, and independent schools and charter schools increase the choices of parents, and I'd like to see these choices be available to all, not just a few. In my district, it's only available to students 9th grade and up, and I would like to see it extended all the way down.
My name is Tim Martin. I reside in the Rutland County town of Ira. I'm here to speak briefly in support of school choice that includes independent schools from 2 perspectives. As a parent of children attending an independent school in Manchester, Vermont, and on behalf of a town that has no school. Currently, we have 46 students, K through 12, tuitioned out to some 14 different schools as geographically separated as Dorset and Manchester to the south and Fairhaven to the west. There has always been a mix of public, independent schools and homeschooling. And freedom of choice for parents in our community has been very, very important and highly valued since the school was closed in 1990. In my own case, our children attend Maple Street School in Manchester, and we drive 35 miles one way. Our friends like to joke with us that that's quite a sacrifice, and I assure them that it is worth everything. We love the school, its mission, and how our children have flourished there, and we wouldn't trade it for anything. The educational landscape in Vermont has, for over 100 years, benefited from having both public and independent schools, and I hope this will live on for another 100 years.
And I grew up in the public school setting and have very, very fond memories of my high school days. I'm here to speak on behalf of school choice. My daughter was in a public school at a 9 and 4-year-old, and she wasn't thriving. She loved school, but wasn't thriving the way that she could be. And so we researched our options, and we enrolled her in an independent school, Maple Street School in Manchester. We were living in Holme at the time, and we're commuting to get her there. We are not an affluent family, but we're trying to do the best that we can for our children. And the only reason why we were able to get there is because of financial assistance that was provided for us for Maple Street. So I know that if we were trying to limit, school choice for these towns, certain towns that would be restricted for Maple Street would adversely affect their ability to operate in the way that they do. My daughter is now thriving there, and we're very pleased with that school and that system, and we're very happy we found it.
And I teach in a public school, I teach in BRSU, and our son had gone to an independent school. And I feel very strongly that as far as what either program offered, our public school system didn't give anything to the independent school. However, it was the best fit for our son. We brought him to Manchester, and he was in an independent school and did very well. But again, as a teacher, I didn't feel that any of the schools and the colleagues with whom I work, necessarily, our public school teachers work really hard. So I think what it really comes down to is fit. And it's fit and it's choice. And so for us, we chose Maple Street School. It was small, and it provided him the atmosphere where we felt that he would be able to thrive. But it wasn't that we chose that independent school because we felt the public schools were inferior. It just simply was the best fit and logistically the best choice for us. because then it allowed us that time in the morning and in the afternoon with our child. We didn't have to have someone else parent that child. But I can't imagine being in a position financially where we couldn't have made that choice for our son. And so we were very thankful that we were able to manage it. But to pull choice entirely, I think would be very detrimental to a lot of families and a lot of children. And I think ultimately our public schools work very hard, and for a lot of kids it's a great fit. But for some kids, the independent school system or homeschooling is the better choice.
I'm Mike Derrico. My wife has captured a lot of what I was going to say. I'll just add one perspective. I teach at Burn Independent School. And as Jason and as my wife, we both were raised as public school people and have a great deal of pride in that background and have no perception that the public schools are lacking in some way. But what I will say, one of the most remarkable things and one of the things that I appreciate the most about working at Burn is there's no such thing as good enough. We compete for our students and we try to not only meet but exceed those expectations. And it's a pretty remarkable dynamic that we, I would say we embrace that sense of we have to make sure that we're meeting or exceeding any expectations that students have, knowing that students can choose to go to a different place if they feel as if we're not providing for them.
The school choice they see is a great benefit for my family. It's allowed for individual needs to be met by each of my children. I have one child with autism and special needs required, the special fits. It's been extremely important, particularly for him, to have school choice and find the best fit.
I'd like to share with you my personal story of my son as to how he's in our independent school that he goes to has impacted his life. Our son came to us as an infant from Korea, beautiful in every way. Going out in the world, though, has not been easy. We did not know the extent of his anxiety until 5th grade, when he needed outside help. It has always been an up and down struggle. Will's unique struggle has been many-faceted. There have been tests, therapy, and medication to help. Our son left the safety of our local Pomfret Elementary School and went to the Woodstock Middle School in 2007. It was there that his life really unraveled. He was very young, very small, and Asian. He was the target of many kids. It became a nightmare. He did not speak much about it, but when I tried to drop him off at school one day, he locked me out of the car, crying in extreme fear, saying he couldn't go in there. We contacted Sharon Academy that spring of our son's 7th grade, hoping that it would be an alternative, a community that he could begin again, a school where he could learn, find friends, and an atmosphere of cooperative community. We wanted him to know that he had as much right to be in this world as anyone else. Sharon has been that for us. They have supported him when he has needed it, and that support has been extensive. I don't know where my son would be today if Sharon had not been an option for us. This is a gift of having a school in which is the right fit for my child. It has been a gift to be able to choose the right school for him. Thank you.
Our daughter, I never thought I would use a public school, an independent school, but our daughter was diagnosed early with some learning challenges. She was on an IEP at the public school for 6 years, and it just wasn't working for her there. And I'll save that story. But so we went to Maple Street School. She did for her 7th and 8th grade years, and we were told right at the beginning at Maple Street that we will find out your daughter's learning potential, and we will hold her responsible for meeting that learning potential. And 2 years later, after 2 years at Maple Street, now when she entered Maple Street, she was separating from her peers academically. She was miserable at school. She didn't want to go to school. She was unhappy. And 2 years later, when she graduated from Maple Street 8th grade, she gave her a little 3-minute speech, and she spoke about her challenges and how she overcame them and how it changed her life. And I have a great deal of empathy for some of the stories I've heard here tonight of parents faced with that challenge of how to meet their child's needs, because I've been there. And it works, and it's imperfect, And you guys have a big challenge, but I just want to say, keep the independent schools alive, please.
Please include independent schools in this conversation as you move it forward, and let us try to be part of the solution. Manchester's area independent schools, Maple Street, Burton Academy, Long Trail School, Stratton Mountain School, they are our areas, employers, economic drivers, and they attract families to our part of Vermont. Thank you.
The factor that put us over the top to come here was not that I was offered work. The only factor was that we had in this state what no other state that I know of offers: school choice. The chance to choose your shoes that your kids will walk in and grow in. And so we moved from the West Coast mainly because of that.
We were living out of state, and one of the reasons why we moved back to Vermont was because of the education system here and the ability to have school choice, things that we researched as we were coming back. We both grew up here. It was a great place to raise a family. This is one of the things that makes Vermont great, and why people would want to come back to this state to work and to live here and to raise their families. And I think that changing that would be a huge mistake. So thank you.
It would be a dire mistake to try to change or to interfere with something that works so well and benefits so many. I would support a measure that would allow more families to be able to choose to give their children the same opportunities by attending the school of their choice. Thank you very much.
Both the public and private independent schools foster very healthy competition, allow for meeting individual needs, and keep the focus on children and their education where it should be. Each child, each parent has the ability to vote or let each school know by coming there that they're doing a good job, and if they don't, the schools will not have children in their systems and they'll fail. Allowing this, I think, is better than any standardized test could ever be. And it also fosters a great deal of ingenuity at the grassroots level. A lot of people with good ideas, not having necessarily things from the top down, but more from the bottom up that can be shared. I think all can benefit from this.
On the innovation front, I would propose to you that innovation comes through entrepreneurial thinking. It comes through decentralized authority. It comes through the wide sharing of ideas and the concentrated responsibility in education around students. Nobody innovates by being told to innovate. Give teachers and school leaders authority and accountability. And give students and families options. And I think those go hand in hand. You give them power, you have to. If you give students and families power, they have the power to hold us as educators accountable.
I came up here to encourage you to, I know there's a lot of pressure for reforms. I presume you're going to act, and I just want to encourage you, however you act, to not restrict school choice as we enjoy it in Vermont now. And you heard from Mark Tashin speak about some of his faculty speak to the competition and how it drives excellence. I grew up in Franklin County. I didn't know much about independent schools, but I'm telling you, in Manchester community, the larger community, in that Bennington community, it's part of our culture, and it is good for our education, it's good for our kids, and it's good for our communities, because these schools are part of the community just as much as our public school is.